Can you pay off a car loan early? Should you? Today, we are talking about the ins and outs of paying off your car early, what to look for, and whether it's a good idea for you. Hey there, welcome to Modern Frugality. My name is Jen, and I am here to help you do better things with your money so you can do more of the good things that you love. So today we are talking about paying off debt, specifically paying off car debt. So cars are typically pretty low interest loans, so people don't always recommend paying them off as opposed to a credit card or a personal loan or even some like graduate loans, because you can see car loans at 4% or lower. I know from experience because that was my car loan. It was like 3 something. But sometimes you can have higher interest loans. If you didn't have great credit when you took out an auto loan, then sometimes you can see some pretty significant interest rates. So if you are one of those people seeing a higher interest rate with your auto loan, or you just want to get rid of it and be completely debt-free, we're going to walk through some of the things that you should look for when you're thinking about paying off your car early and how to calculate whether it's the best idea for you. Now, let's get the logistical question out of the way first. Can you actually pay off your car early? Yes, you can absolutely pay off your car early. Most loans do not penalize you for paying off your car loan early. There are some loans that do charge a prepayment penalty, but sometimes even still, it may be worth paying it off and eating that penalty to avoid more interest payments. So you're going to want to look at the terms and conditions of your loan. You're going to want to look specifically for the phrase prepayment penalty and see if there is one. If there is, then you're going to want to Google a car loan calculator or car loan interest calculator. If you Google it, I'll link to one in the description, but it's right there on Google if you Google it. And then plug in the numbers, play around, crunch them, and see how fast you need to pay off the car in order to save more interest than you would pay in prepayment penalties. So if you were able to pay your car off in a lump sum, that means immediately, and you are going to save $200 in interest payments, and your prepayment penalty is $150, then it makes sense to eat that penalty because you're still saving $50. But if you just want to pay off your car a little bit faster and then save maybe $150 in interest for that over that time, but your prepayment penalty is $150, it doesn't make sense. It's a wash, so you might as well just make the regular payments and use that extra money to do something better, pay other debt, invest, whatever. Now, let's say you are definitely going to pay off your car early. That's a decision that you have made. There are some other things you're going to want to look at too. So, how is your interest compounded on your loan? Most auto loans use a simple interest calculation to charge you interest. That means that when you make a payment, part of it is interest and part of it is the actual car. But if you make a bigger payment on the same day, then the same amount is going to be interest and you're just going to put more towards the car. Now, this is important because if you pay off your car quicker, then you're putting more towards the actual car and less towards interest. That's why paying off your car early saves you money, is you pay less interest. But like I said before, sometimes the interest costs on cars are pretty low. So if you have interest on a car that's maybe 3% or lower, it may not be in your best interest to pay that off quicker, especially if you have credit card debt or personal loan debt or anything else that is above 4%, because the rate of inflation is 3%. If you were to invest money in the stock market, that typically we say gets you a 7% return, and that actually accounts for inflation. But I like to double inflation just in case. And so that's why I use the 7 minus 3 is for anything over 4% interest, you're really better off paying. But if it's below that, then you could find better uses for it, like paying off debt or investing. Now, that's taking into consideration that you actually do use that money to pay off other debt or invest. But if you're just the type of person who wants that debt out of your life, maybe you're doing the debt snowball and you're working on your smallest loan, which may be a car, then these are a few things to think about. First is you want to make sure you have an emergency fund before you pay off your car, because car repairs still happen, cars still break down, and you want to have the money to be able to pay for those. And if you won't have it because you've put all of your money towards making bigger payments, then that's a problem. Then that's something that puts you more into debt. Second is that when you finish paying off that loan, it is going to lower your credit score for just a little bit. So you need to time this with opening any new lines of credit, any new credit cards, or getting a mortgage, because you won't want to pay off your car within 6 months of doing that, any of those things, because it will lower your credit score for a little bit. So just be aware if you're trying to get any other loans, don't pay off your car loan right next to those. Lastly, I want to talk about, should you pay it off in a lump sum if you have the money, or should you go over time? Obviously, the best answer is always, if you have the money, just pay it off all at once. That's going to save you the most interest. The only reason you wouldn't do that is if that lump sum of money you have is your emergency fund. Again, you need an emergency fund. This is non-negotiable. Do not dip into that fund in order to pay off your car. But if you are not dipping into that fund and you have the money, there's no reason not to pay it off in a lump sum if you're not also working on paying off higher interest debt. And if you are going to kind of just make extra payments, that still saves you money in interest. So you can't go wrong with that if that's something that you want to do. But just don't dip into your emergency fund to pay off your car. I hope that helped. If you were trying to decide whether you should pay off your car or not, saving money on interest is always great, but if you can do better things with that money, then that's even great. But that's if you're actually going to do them. So moral of the story is, whatever you're going to follow through with that's going to improve your finances, you should do that. So definitely subscribe to the channel, like this video, and leave me a comment if you paid off your car. I bought my last car in cash, so that, I don't know if I would recommend that for everyone. Worked for me, but yeah, so we drive paid for cars, but I have taken out car loans before, and I don't think that they are horrible loans. So let me know where you're at, what camp you're in, and I will see you here next week.